Hey guys, and welcome back to
Megajordinary.
And it's spooky season. If you couldn't tell by our little Halloween decoration attempt in the background and our orange lighting. So we have explained in previous videos, but if you're new to our channel, we are going to be uploading 2 videos a week in October for spooky season, and our last video will be on Halloween, and it's going to be a really good one, isn't it? Yeah. So let's get into it. Today we are going to be discussing the Berkshire alien abductions. Berkshire County is located in Massachusetts. It's on the western edge in the USA. It's bordered to the south by Connecticut, the north by Vermont, and the west by New York City. And Berkshire has a population of 129,585 residents. And this is according to the last census. The Appalachian Trail, which is a very famous scenic attraction and a trail in the USA, actually runs through Berkshire at some points. Now, for this case, we're going to take it all the way back to 1969, when over 40 Berkshire residents claimed to have seen a UFO on the night of September the 1st, 1969. Now, many of these sightings vary in degrees, with some residents claiming to just see bright lights and others claiming to have actually been abducted by aliens.
On that night in September 1969, a local radio station received dozens of calls from people phoning in to report as what they described as a flying saucer in the night sky. So let's get into the strangest encounters from that night in more detail. Tommy Warner, a 10-year-old boy, the youngest of 7 children, was at a friend's house on September 1st, 1969. Tommy claims that when he was colouring at the table with his friends, he glanced out the window and heard a voice say, "You need to go home now." He said this terrified him and he thought that this was God speaking to him. Tommy ran outside of the house and said that he felt an energy inside of him that he thinks was the fear of mental telepathy. He also said that he believed that he was flying. Tommy said whilst this feeling was coming over him, he seen a UFO falling from the sky and shining a beam on him that eventually sucked him up. Debbie, the woman minding Tommy at the time, backed this up and said Tommy was frantically running in one spot before seeing a bright light shine on him before he vanished into thin air. Next thing he knew, he was lying on the other side of the house, being held down by a beam of light which vanished fast.
Thomas Reed, a young boy originally from Queens, New York, had just moved to the Berkshire County in 1969 because his mother had bought a restaurant. Her name was Nancy and she was a single mother to 2 boys, so she bought a restaurant in Berkshire to try and provide a great life for them. So on the night of September the 1st, 1969, Nancy was driving home from her restaurant with her 2 children in the back, Thomas and Matt. They were driving on the Sheffield Road Bridge when all of a sudden the car was entirely lit up by a very bright white light. After the light hit, they said that an eerie silence filled the car before an eruption occurred in the vehicle that sounded like frogs and crickets. After this, Thomas said that he feels he missed out on 3 hours of his life. He believes that he was abducted and transported onto an alien craft ship. He can't remember it as if it was a normal memory that we would have, or normal human memory, but he knows inherently that he was on it. It's very inexplainable.
Melanie Kurtz, age 14, was spending the day at Lake Mansfield because it was Labor Day weekend, which is an American public holiday. Melanie and her family had said that a white light followed by a UFO craft ship surfaced up from under the water. Melanie said all of the children, including her, started panicking and screaming, and next thing she knew, she was on the craft. This is strange because Melanie and Tommy had never met previously, but both remember meeting each other on this craft. Melanie doesn't know how long she was on the ship for, but she remembers being dropped back at the lake and having to make her own way home.
Jane Green and her friend Mary DeGrace had been driving from Stockbridge to Great Barrington, which is in the Berkshire County, on the night of the incident when they seen lots of bright lights ahead on the road. And initially they just thought it was a bad accident and that the lights were from ambulances, police cars, etc. But when the lights got too bright, so bright that they actually couldn't even see, they realised this wasn't the case. Jane had to pull over and her and Mary had to exit the vehicle, and they said that all the cars in front of them done the exact same thing. And almost at the same time, all of the people standing on the road, including Jane and Mary, seen a huge giant object so big that they couldn't see the beginning or the end of it in the road. And they said they were all in shock, obviously, and eventually it just shot off into the distance and behind the mountains. These are just the most notorious sightings from that night, but as I said at the start, there was over 40 sightings of this phenomenon on that night in Berkshire County. All of the people who have claimed to have witnessed this phenomenon were very, very hesitant and reluctant to speak about it for years after the event. They were afraid that people would think they were mad. They were also afraid that this was just like some sort of mental breakdown, etc. They were afraid of mockery. These stories didn't come out to the world until years later, and they kind of became mainstream.
Now, let's discuss some theories regarding this phenomenon. The first theory is there actually was an alien encounter in Berkshire that night, and all of these witness accounts are true. It is strange how so many people who had no relation to one another all reported similar occurrences across Berkshire County on that night. Is there such thing as coincidences? Also, Thomas Reid and his brother Matt have actually spoken on record about 4 alien encounters that have happened to them over the years. They have also discussed these on shows like Alien Mysteries and Ancient Aliens. The Great Barrington Historical Society officially recognised the UFO event in Berkshire as an historical event and erected a monument for it in 2015. This monument was taken down recently for unknown reasons.
Theory number 2 is maybe it was all just an orchestrated hoax. Now, I'm not sure if you've seen Unsolved Mysteries, but it made a reboot in 2020, and one of the episodes covered this Berkshire incident. And as we've said, it's crazy how so many people corroborated the same thing, remembered specific details of that night, and they were nowhere near each other within the county. So, as we said, dozens of people did ring in to the local radio station to report the lights in the sky and what looked like a UFO craft. But the newscast from that day was not recorded, and it was in 1969, so technology was nowhere near the level of technology that we have today. So if they did record it, normally they would have to tape over it, you know? There's not a lot of police reports or newspaper cutouts of the event in the records. And one of the Berkshire County historians reckons that because it was back in the 60s and, you know, it was very taboo to think about like aliens and stuff like that, he reckons that most of the news reports and police reports were destroyed because they just thought it was a big hoax. But News 10 ABC News actually claimed that they have accumulated a file of testimonies and drawings from that night, from the witnesses and witness statements. And so obviously that's why it was recognised as an historical event, because it did happen. But whether it was a hoax, who knows. Theory number 3, and the last theory that we're going to discuss today, and that is maybe it was a military operation that was secret and that was going on over Berkshire County that night, and none of the residents knew, and so they thought it was aliens. A lot of people put this theory forward, and then they also said that maybe it was hot air balloons, drones, birds, anything that wasn't an alien they put through to say, oh, maybe it was this, maybe it was that. Doesn't explain the phenomenon though, and I don't really find there's much weight in this theory. Do you? No. I'm not a big believer in the second theory that it was an elaborate hoax, because there's too many eyewitness accounts. Yeah, there was too many eyewitness accounts all saying basically the same thing. Yeah. Children claiming to be abducted and adults corroborating this, saying that the kids did act weird and did go missing, and you know what I mean?
Also, 2 people that never met before remember meeting on this spacecraft.
Yeah. How? I personally believe that there was a UFO phenomenon that took place on September the 1st, 1969 in Berkshire County, USA, completely. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Because you can have so many theories, but I mean, going by the witnesses' accounts, they outweigh the theories, I think.
Yeah, 100%. What do you think caused this phenomenon on that fateful night.
So let us know down below in the comments.
And this is the first video of spooky season, the first of many, so make sure that you are subscribed because the next video is gonna drop in just a couple of days.
Also, don't forget to hit that little bell notification to be notified when we drop every spooky season video and every video after that.
And share this video with any of your friends that are big into spooky season like us.
Okay guys, over and out.
Bye!